Piranha 3D. Now, horror is not my kind of movie. I don't really care for seeing people get cut up. But seeing as I'm running out of water movies, let's take a look. Look at how her fingers are flattened. From the extras, I learned that this was filmed with 3D in mind, and indeed you see several shots that are obviously framed to be wow moments, though the conversion doesn't always live up to the hope. This fish should have popped up so much more. And look how disappointed this guy is. Why? Why did they let that opportunity go? They could have done so much in that moment. Now, I also learned from the extras that after each take, they also shoot a take of the background as an asset for the conversion team to use. Manually moving things into left and right perspective inevitably leaves gaps in the picture. And I was always wondering about that. If you look at my first video, the Mad Max one, where I compared the original to the 3D, I wondered how they filled in those gaps. And I guess that's what they do. They planned for it from the beginning. Now, I guess they decided to go with conversion rather than filming in 3D because they did so much filming on the water. They felt the glare from the water would not look good in 3D because you'd get different light going into each lenses of the camera, I guess, although the conversion is a wild ride of occasionally adequate, but mostly comically terrible. And you see a lot where you have margins where you can actually see the push out, like a bump map. So it's a funny movie, just by the conversion. There are so many goofy errors mixed in that actually makes it a lot of fun to watch. The scaffolding here looks like a solid box. The background does not go through it. And that guy on the yellow tuba, he's just looks like he's flat on top of the water, and those sparks just take on the shape of whatever they pass in front of. And here you can see the heads of the crowd are pushed back into the far distance. Although, truthfully, in this moment, I don't think anyone's looking at the crowd in the background. One thing about horror I never really understood is that women seem to love the genre. I would venture that 80, if not 90% of the horror movies I've seen were because my girlfriend or date wanted to see it. And the flip side of horror, especially 80s horror, is they usually have a scene or two like this. And then the girlfriend's looking over accusingly, and I'm like, hey, you wanted to see this. Yeah, doesn't help. Sex and violence seem like strange bedfellows. But there is a curious connection between arousal and a diminished empathy. While reflecting on his social life, the erudite scholar Geraldo once wrote, "A hard cock has no conscience." And there's a moment in this movie where we see a guy enthusiastically leading a wet t-shirt contest. And then in the next instant, the fish attack. And he's then ripping carelessly through the very same people to save himself. There's an analogy there, I suppose. Also, the 3D makes that arm in the wake look like it's been severed because it raises it way up, but actually it isn't. Yay, Doc's here. Apparently they only had him for 24 hours, and they made him work the whole damn 24 hours. Check out these fish tanks. They look like solid blocks of ice. They do no attempt at transparency, and I don't even know what's going on here. I can't explain this. And notice, anything that interacts with the water is pushed immediately to the forefront. Very weird looking shot. I actually tried to watch this years ago and my eyes hurt, so I put it away and ignored it. Though I found the second time I actually had no eye trouble. Though look at the trees pushed right to the sky. My eyes didn't hurt watching it this time, but I guess this is not a good movie if you're having a tired eye day. This scene is fascinating because right at the end, it all goes flat except for the guy's arm. Just bizarre. It's the same shot, no edits. This was a fascinating journey through the early days of 3D conversions. There are some comically bad moments here. Now, it was 2010, but this was also a low-budget movie, and some of these moments look like they just got started and then just gave up. And on the flip side, like inside this guy's mask looks great, and of course the fish you just saw. And then we have here where the entire lake and that little girl are raised to the front. So you'll get something like that, and then it'll cut to a mostly good underwater shot. Like here, these weeds are actually, this is a really good 3D moment, albeit a little dark. This whole movie is kind of like this one character who they describe in the commentary as a stripper with a heart. But she's wonderfully established, and the way they film the interaction between her and our awkward lead sets up a wonderful chemistry that's not done so much in the writing, but how they edit together the glances and reactions. It's probably a good moment if someone was studying film, interpret nonverbal communication. Now, like the movie itself, they never really put it to good use, but consistency kind of hides the definition of good. And when you have a mixed bag like this, when you do get a good moment, you really notice it, and it really makes an impression, and it causes you to study it and try and figure out, well, why is this good? And so this is actually a very curiously educational film in the study of why good is good and why bad is bad.